Hello everyone, and welcome to the second part of my Canada-USA trip. Leaving from Toronto, it was time to head over to USA, and first stop was in Chicago, where I met up with my old friend Mike Pecucci, who took us around. And first shop that we went to was called Laurie's Planet of Sound. And first thing I noticed there was this one. This is one of my recent purchases prior to this trip, and I didn't like this at all. It's a poor album. And this one was placed on display there, and I was thinking that, well, okay, Loggins and Messina, they're popular in USA, so that's why it's up there. But then I noticed a sign on it which says there's no Loggins and Messina in this shop, which made me appreciate that shop a lot more. So the first thing that I found from that store was this one. Jason and the Nashville Scorchers, before they dropped the name Nashville from the name. This is Reckless Country Soul, their first EP, including bonus tracks. And so it was a great thing. I knew about it, but I had forgotten about its existence long ago. Second thing that I found was Taj Mahal, The Real Thing, live album, which I've been looking for quite some time. And I have found this several times, but it's always been for full price, and over there this cost only $8. I also found vinyl there, and this is Inflammable Material by Stiff Little Fingers. I've always known about this album since the 80s, but I've never been interested until a few years ago on one music board. A guy from Chicago started banging on about this, about how great album this was. So finding this from Chicago, I felt obligated to buy this one. Okay. The next store that we went to was called Reckless Records, and that was a big store, and I've made some good finds there. And first one was Jayhawk's Blue Earth. This was available here a couple of years ago, but I was too late and it was gone. So the next one was vinyl, Raven Rock Until You Drop, their first album. I've been looking for this one also for a year or two, and I have seen this several times, but it's always been like 30 euros, so it was way too expensive. In Reckless this was just $11. And then the next one was not the one that I was searching for, but this was a good replacement for that one. Ted Nugent, State of Shock. And this one only cost $3. Overall, I have to say that Reckless Records was a cheap place to buy records, especially CDs. Okay, that was all that I bought that day. We were supposed to meet the following day, but thanks to the extremely slow service at Macy's, we didn't see each other anymore. But he had told me about the other Reckless stores. There are 3 Reckless records stores in Chicago, and he pointed out to me which one of them was the biggest one. So that was where we headed over. And I didn't buy any vinyl from there, but I did buy several CDs. And the first one was Aerosmith Honkin' on Bobo, their blues album done Aerosmith ways, like the sticker here says. It's much more of a hard rock than pure blues, but good album nonetheless. And one of my very rare indie favorites, Concrete Blonde, Still in Hollywood, compilation of B-sides and rarities. And I also managed to add USA to my Counting Crows collection, Across a Wire, live from New York City. Double CD cost only $6. This was the most expensive CD that I bought. Others were $2 or $3. Los Lobos this time of all the records that I have listened to so far, this was unfortunately the worst one. This one has been the biggest disappointment so far. And then this one was a interesting find, made me chuckle. Dolly Parton, Halos and Horns, because last time that I was in the USA, this was a brand new release. I remember thinking about it back then, should I buy it or not? And now, 14 years later, I finally bought it from USA. I found it that to be very well, funny thing. Also bought Singles soundtrack, and at Reckless Records they have this system that you go to the counter with just the slip, and you say that you want to buy this one, and they have their records behind the counter. So that's what I did, and I was standing at the counter waiting for them to bring me my records when I got the idea and told me my brother to go and look for this one. And it was there. Stray Cats, Choo Choo Hotfish, the last Stray Cats record that I was missing. There is still one contractual obligation album that they made, but I'm not interested in that one. So now I have all the Stray Cats records that I want. On my way to the second record store, I happened to pass this one, Sugar Records, and I thought it was a rather good one, but the records that I did find there were mostly ones that I already had on CD. So as I was having problem with the space for the vinyl records, because I had to have them all, they all had to fit into one bag, because I didn't have a large luggage, so I had to carry all of my vinyl records on my hand. So I had decided not to buy any vinyl albums anymore that I had on CD, but this one was one that I had to get anyway. Self-titled debut album from Outlaws. Gatefold sleeve, and look how thin the spine is for a gatefold album sleeve. It was just brilliant find. Yeah, I was really worried about at this point as to how I'm going to manage to get them all into one bag, but I just had to take that one. But yeah, that was the last purchase I made from Chicago, and after that it was time to head over to the next place, which was Las Vegas. But before that, I want to mention one more thing. When we travel, we very rarely get to see any bands because we simply don't have any information about gigs. So over the years, it has been very rare that we get to see any bands. But this time we managed to find out about one gig, which was Phil and Dave Olvin in Chicago, and we traveled there. It took us about an hour to go there, and at the end we took the wrong connection, so we missed out the first set, which we estimated lasted about 35 minutes. We got there just at the last moment, but the second set lasted for 90 minutes, so we got to see a full gig. So yeah, then it was time to head over to Las Vegas, and in Las Vegas we only had one full free day, so I wasn't going to spend that in just going to record stores. So we picked out only one record store that we would visit, and we ended up going to the store called Moondog Records. Sounded good to me. Moondog Records sounded like a store that would sell 50s music. It turned out to be a second-hand vinyl store which sold all kinds of music, including 50s music, but they were mostly collector's price. But I did manage to one album, and that was Raven One for All. And as I was picking this one up, there was some older guy there, and he told me how great album this was, and he said that he had been a rock photographer during the early to mid 80s, photographing, among others, Raven. And he was there buying records that he had sold over the years, as he had been in trouble with drugs and drinks. So now he was repurchasing those records that he had sold over the years. He bought, I think it was Too Fast for Love by Mötley Crüe. And yeah, I also found the only 12-inch single that I bought on this trip, and that was Rainbow Street of Dreams. I had this one on the 7-inch, but of course I couldn't leave this behind, being Rainbow and something on Rainbow that I don't have. Compared to 7-inch single, this one adds one more track, which is a live version of Power. So yeah, obviously a great find. So yeah, that was all that I bought from Las Vegas, but we did manage to see one gig which was completely amazing, because what we saw was John Fogerty. As you can probably tell, it was the first night of his stay in Las Vegas, and we didn't have a ticket. We just walked in hoping that there would be somebody selling an extra ticket, but instead we find some guy who was trying to buy an extra ticket just like us. But we saw, as people were walking in, we saw there was a sign which said tickets. So we just went in and asked there was an usher, and we asked her that, are there tickets available? And she was, yes, absolutely. So we went in and we got ourselves a ticket to see John Fogerty. And even though she had told us that, yeah, absolutely, there are tickets available, it turned out that there was just 5 tickets available, including the 2 that we bought. But yeah, amazingly, we saw a concert at a Venezia Casino in Las Vegas. Yeah, next up was North Carolina, but I specifically asked our host to not take us to the record stores, as I was worried that I wouldn't be able to carry anything more now. But going to New York, we still went to record stores, and we went to a couple of record stores, but I didn't find anything there. The stores that we visited were mostly indie music or collector stores, so I didn't find anything. I was very disappointed in that, but well, those are the cases sometimes. But on the day that we left back home, we still had like a full day because our flight left in the evening. So I still decided to go one more time to the record store to see if we could find something. And I did find one album that I specifically wanted to buy from New York, and that was this one, Kiss, Dressed to Kill. I wanted to buy this one specifically from New York because of the cover picture. I was meant to go to this street corner to take a picture of myself there, but in the end I didn't have time. But at least I managed to buy this one there. And this one was my last vinyl purchase of the trip, and you can believe me when I tell you that it was a tight fit to get this fit into my back. It was really tight, so I was really worried that at some point it's just gonna tear, the whole back is going to tear apart, and my vinyl are going to be all around on the ground. And I also managed to find one CD, and that was this one, Beatles Anthology 2. These are, I would say that these anthology CDs, 1, 2 and 3, are the easiest ones to find on whole Beatles catalog. But for this time it was only $5.98 for a double CD, so it was a good time to pick this one up. So yeah, that was my very last purchase on the whole trip, and then it was all time to head over to JFK and fly back home. Okay, thanks for watching. Leave a comment. Bye.